I think also the instrument looked beautiful in this hall because it's a modern hall. It's a beautiful hall, and you have this gold in the
Yes.
background, and everything looks shiny and new. And this instrument is kind of like really showing itself and without any makeup, like it's there,
Yeah.
being real and being old, and I mean old, showing its scars and showing the time it lived.
Alexander, it's so great to meet you here on Zoom.
Great to meet you too.
I mean, we've met before at the concert where I saw your lovely piano. But I would so love to talk to you about the restoration work that you're doing and how you got started in restoring pianos.
Okay, sure. Maybe how I got started to restore piano. I think this is there's a lot to talk about this, I think. So I studied piano and pedagogic in Berlin, and I studied quite a long time. I think I studied 6 to 7 years, and so I was playing the piano most of the time, and studying piano literature, and wanting to become a pianist. And it was a big dream of me to become a pianist since childhood. And but I was also kind of confronted to reality and confronted to competition, and so it was a lot of pressure. And I also always kind of felt that it's a big love of me, piano and literature, and playing the piano is a big love of me. But it always kind of felt subconsciously that it's something a tiny bit doesn't really belong to me. Like it doesn't feel like it's it doesn't feel easy. Let's say like this.
But do you think? Yeah. Sorry, but do you think you talk about that route that you have to take? With the competitions and the studying, that that pressure sort of is not something that you enjoyed.
If I enjoy this pressure?
Yeah. No, I mean, maybe that's what made you think that that type of pressure just takes away the enjoyment of playing the piano.
100%. Also, it's also there. It's also the pressure, which it's also toxic kind of thing. But I think you have pressure everywhere. Like there's pressure in every domain, I think, because there's always competition and people doing the same things and wanting to be successful with it. Just I think in the music world, it's kind of, and especially in the piano world, it's really extreme, and because we don't have orchestras or something like this in which we play, like violins or cellists, or so we have two options, and it's our playing concerts, and there are many different possibilities to play concerts. It's chamber music, it's to accompany singers, or it's solo, or it's playing as a soloist with orchestra. But it's there's not so much space for this amount of pianists, and so the other option is also to teach, and which is a wonderful option also. But to answer your question, I think that this competition is something which is and this pressure which comes from it is something kind of toxic to a certain amount. But if you feel very good about yourself, and if you feel very comfortable with it, it can also have something which is motivating you, or which is like which you're not scared of, and where you don't see it as something with a lot of pressure, but it wasn't for me because I think I didn't feel so comfortable with it in this sense. So does that answer your
Absolutely,
question?
yeah. No, I just wanted to know, because there must have been that turning point where you thought there must be something else for me, or it's something else, or did it gradually that you became interested in as the instrument, that I would say, than playing the instrument?
Yeah, 100%. I would say it came. So I had to write a kind of thesis. It's not a thesis, but it's like a paper for the graduation in this university, and I chose to write it. I was really debating on what to write, and like a lot of people wrote about pedagogic themes, and I wasn't really interested into it. I wanted to find something more artistic to write about. And then I found something which I suddenly really loved as a topic, and it was Schubert and his instruments of his time, the instrument of his time. And I read about it, and I tried to understand the instrument, and a lot of like really interesting thoughts came into my mind, and really it explained a lot to me about his music, about interpretation of his music, and I was just really interested into the instruments actually, and into the actions, and into what makes those instruments different to our modern pianos. And so much that at the end, when I gave the paper, the professor said that it was not agreed that it was so focused on the instrument and not on Schubert or not on music history. And it was kind of the starting point, I think, a bit for me. I think on one hand, I had a wonderful interview also with my ex-chef here in Vienna, which I called. He was, by the way, lying naked on the beach having vacation, but it was still it was a different interview than we have now. But he gave me really important and good informations about piano building and pianos, and so he is a restorer in Vienna also. So I would say, on one hand, it is this which made me open to pianos and restoration, and on the other hand, I would say I had always this drive and this interest in handcraft. And I think there was a period in Berlin where it was also probably very difficult with piano, and I had kind of a difficult relationship with the instrument and with music and with the studies, that I started to just build things, random things out of wood, and with saws that I bought. Cheap saws, and like really random things. One can call it art or something like this, but just random things. And I found a lot of pleasure in it. Just really producing something with my hands and having a result in front of your eyes, which also doesn't change with time so much. It gave me a huge security, or a huge pleasure to have a result in front of your eyes. And I think it's a really big difference to music, because in music you produce always in the moment, and the next moment what you produced is gone, and it makes the beauty of music, but it makes it also terribly difficult, because you always need to create in the moment again, and it's performing art, and it made me feel, I think, a bit insecure also, and this handcraft is, I think, quite the opposite of it. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting that you say that, because during lockdown I did a photography project here in Vienna, and I photographed a conductor once in her window, like I went and photographed artists in their windows. And she said to me, well, it's actually wonderful that I could capture this moment, because in music you cannot capture the music, and it was something similar to what you were saying. It's gone in the moments that you've played it, and yeah, it's now the second time that I heard somebody say that.
It's very funny, because now that you say this with your project, I think we have met already before the concert. Because
really?
I think you took a picture of me also in the group.
Oh, were you in the group with all the musicians in the windows?
Yes. I was there.
Amazing. Well, I didn't meet you all in person, but I remember you were all in the window playing your instruments.
But I didn't remember you also, to be honest. I just remembered
amazing.
while you were describing this project. Yes.
But the pianist who played that night at the concert, I can't remember his name now, but he was also in the project. He was also, I think, he was playing something in his window as well.
Yes. It's probably Joseph Avila. He's my roommate.
Oh, he was your roommate.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, wonderful. Oh, I'm so glad. So you're part of the project then.
Yes, somehow.
Yeah.
I have the pictures still somewhere. They were really beautiful and kind pictures. It was a good memory. But it's so funny that we meet through a completely different way.
Yeah. But I can also relate to what you're saying about the craft, about creating something, because I find in stressful situations when I almost start making something, or want to make something, I think it's a type of distraction, but I think it's also a type of comfort, when you start creating.
100%, yeah. And I can also really relate to photography. I think photography is also it has also something to do with capturing a moment and really stopping this ongoing way of time. I think it's also. I mean, I see similarities between handcraft and photography, and in this way. And photography was also for me something theoretical. No, how do you say it? Therapy?
Therapeutic.
Therapeutic, yes. It was, and because it was very calming for me to make pictures and to decide which moment I want to save. Is really something very, very beautiful. And I at one point, when I was still insecure about restoration, I debated on becoming a photographer with analog cameras.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
I really enjoyed that. I still have quite a collection of analog cameras.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's quite a interesting way of photography comparing to digital photography.
I think so, yeah.
But so you then, was it then very clear for you, or how did you make that decision moving on to restoring pianos?
So I was teaching in Berlin in a French music school. I was teaching piano, and um, I had really wonderful students, really very cute students, very well educated, and like how it's like very often in French music schools outside of France, you have always like very well educated people and like let's say parents are very strict also, but therefore the students are very well educated somehow. It's part of the French education also, I think. But it's not always the case with French students, of course. But I think like outside of France, it's more and more often. Anyway, it's and I was quite happy, I think, teaching them. But it took so much energy from me, and I was really soaked, not soaked, drained. Drained from those lessons also. And so I ended the studies, and I was like, I felt that okay, now it's time to also move on. It can't stay like this, or also I don't see a point in making a progress in this direction, or like having more students and becoming a better teacher, because I'm not talking badly about giving lessons or being a teacher. I think it's one of the most beautiful professions you can do if you do it right. But I think that for me it didn't feel very comfortable, because I didn't feel so comfortable playing the piano.
Oh, okay.
And so I think I decided very quickly that I wanted to do an internship in Vienna with this a person who restores pianos. And he's called Gerd Hecher, and he's a very knowledgeable man when it comes to late Viennese instruments. And I did a workshop, and actually I immediately told him, can I please do a workshop for 2, 3, 4 months? Because I was quite sure that I was quite very excited about change and about doing something new.
But before you carry on, why specifically restoring pianos? Because you said you're enjoying working with your hands, but what led to that decision that it's going to be piano restoring?
Yeah, good question, actually. I don't know 100%. There might be deeper reasons for this, but my explanation was always that I want to have always a link to what I did before. And so I don't want to begin from scratch something completely new, but I want my past and my experience to nourish. Can you say nourish?
Yeah.
To nourish the next step. Kind of. I'm not sure if that's a real answer to it, but at least it's the one I tend to give, because it's yeah.
Yeah, because I can understand that, because there's already a link to the instrument, and you understand the instrument, so it would be easy to to carry on in that direction. I can totally understand that.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I thought also, and I think it's really it gives me a good connection to it. Like I think it's important to understand music to a certain amount, and to understand, and even like understand pianists, or understand playing the piano also. To a certain amount, it really matters, I think. Also, like just to how you deal with the customers, because my customers are musicians, of course.
Oh, of course.
And you kind of, I think it's very helpful that I understand musicians kind of thing to find a good connection with my customers. But I also need to say that my work is like probably 95% of the time has nothing to do with music, actually. Yeah. So it's very a lot of handcraft and a lot of logical thinking of woodwork and piano physics, you know. So
so a lot of technical work that you have to do.
Yes, I think it's very technical. I mean, you have on all businesses, you have the other works, other kind of works which needs to be done, of course, paperwork and or connection, trying to make new connections, or trying to organize concerts, like where we met, and to somehow make yourself known. But I think when it comes to the workshop, it's really 95% technical, yeah.
And do you now, from working on the pianos and really going to that smaller, very fine detail, do you think that you understand piano music or you know, the role of the pianist more?
It depends. It depends a bit. It depends. I think I got more experienced with because I'm actually not. It's maybe also important to say, but like I'm not restoring modern pianos. I'm really concentrated or specified.
Focusing.
In antiques. So antique sounds a bit bad, but like in period instruments from the 19th century, and I think they're very much different instrument to our modern instruments. And I think I learned more about music, yes, because the instrument teach you of the instrument of, let's say, Brahms time or Beethoven time, both very different time. Yes, it's just maybe like 40 years of difference, but it's a different instrument, really. It's like when we are talking about our I mean, it's a bit of bad example, but like our first cell phones and now the iPads we are dealing with. Yeah, I mean, there it's a bit of a difficult example, because the first phones were just very restricted in their options and in the quality also. But yeah, so I would say that those instruments really taught me a lot about music, about the music of their time, and how to play music on them, I would say. Yeah.
Well, I must say, when I went to the concert, when I heard the piano the first time, it was a different sound than a modern piano. You know, you noticed the sound, but somehow it felt in also in the whole setting and with the music, it felt like that was the right piano for the music.
That's a big compliment. Thank you. And I think it's just when you hear old instruments, then somehow you failed, because then it's because it's not supposed to be old. It's supposed to be legit. No, I don't know. Like
a legend. Like a legend?
No, like a real instrument which should be played like every other instrument, and it should feel not like a museum. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean, but you know what? It reminds me now. I spoke to a winemaker once, and we talked about the different ways of making wine, and he said that with winemaking, where they go back now to making wine in a more organic and original way, people have to also get used to that taste, because we are so used to tasting new wines, you know, so or different wines with different chemicals, or not chemicals, but different things that they add. So first, when you taste a wine that's more organic or has a different way of making wine, you taste, but you have to it takes, you know, that moment to think, okay, so this is the taste. So you have to acquire that taste then.
It's a wonderful example. I have nothing to add about this. Yes, it's a perfect example, and you're absolutely right. It takes time for people to get used to the sound. Yeah, 100%, and especially with piano, because piano is so spread, and people got so much used to the modern sound of piano. Yeah. Or with wine also. It's very well spread also.
But also the whole look of the piano, you know, it was so beautiful to see that in that setting also. And the pianist who played it, did he have to adjust something, or did he have to, you know, to really practice on it? Is there some different technique that he needed to use?
Yes, the technique is different for sure, but he's very he's very gifted as a pianist, and like I've rarely seen pianists like him who really always do everything with such ease and learn big repertoire with such ease with. No time. In no time, he learns everything, the most complicated pieces. He played in a concert all 24 Ligeti etudes, which is like the technical and also from the thought process, like one of the most difficult works, I would say. So he is very gifted in this way, and so he actually didn't have to practice that much. But it also has to do with the fact that first he has some experience with period instruments, and also the instrument itself, if you're able to adapt to it quite quickly, is very willing to make your life more easy, actually. And it has to do with, of course, so it has to do with technical reasons. The keys are the way the keys move is shorter, so you have to move the key a shorter way until the hammer hits the string. So you don't need to push the key so deep. There's a specific term for this in English, which I don't know. So there's this. So your finger don't need to move that much to get the sound. Yeah. In modern piano, you need to do a certain way until the hammer touches the key, and there it's very much reduced. And the touch is very much lighter than in a modern instrument. One could measure it, but I could say it's like maybe 60-70% of the weight of a modern piano. And I think if you adapt to this quickly, it makes your life actually tremendously more easy, because all these fast passages, and we heard it in the Chopin, which he played so fast. I mean, like maybe even a tiny bit too fast in my taste, but like because he showed that it is very easy on those instruments because you this very quick passages like this. You have just less movement, which you need to do to produce the sound, and less movements, you can do it quicker, I think. He had to adapt, but I think he could, even if people get more used to it, you find more possibilities in creating sound with those specific instruments. But he didn't have to adapt technically so much, yeah.
But do you think we are more inclined to look at newly built pianos and thinking that that's the better sound, rather than trying to look back at the more period pianos and really appreciate the sound that those pianos make?
I think I mean, it's difficult to say for me, but I think that there's this movement where people are more interested into period instruments. There was this movement already long ago, 30, 40 years ago, but it was really concentrated on one specific instrument in his history of like Mozart time, yes. And but all this later, like late classical or early romantic or even late romantic instrument, they're still very much different, yes, and they all are very different to modern instrument and very different to Mozart's instrument. So there's a lot of little steps in between, and I think I believe that people are a bit more interested, and also I hope also. I mean, it's like a weird mixture. I don't know. I'm so much in this topic that I really don't know. For me, it's very obvious that it's fascinating, but I don't know like how people really think. To be honest, yes, yes.
But it's also so visually so beautiful. And afterwards, I went to have a look at all the engraving, and it's really such a beautiful instrument.
That's very kind, and I agree really totally. Like those instruments, really, there was art and handcraftship, where the instrument builders, they wanted to show off also, to show all their skills, and to choose the right wood, which would look beautiful, and to choose the right lack or small details or the form of the instrument, and it's very it shows itself in a very individual way, and very with so many details, yes, and really compared to modern instrument, where it's actually, they're also very beautiful, and I still think they're beautiful, but they're always black and black shiny, and the form is never really different. And I think like this specific instrument, actually, which you saw and which you hear from outside, it didn't do much actually, because the deal is that I only did what's inside, and the mechanic, and all the part of the instrument really, and also some aesthetic things, but only inside of the instrument. and the outside was completely untouched, nearly untouched.
Really?
And so was really old. It was probably, I mean, there has been something done 100%, but I would guess like minimum 100 years old. The look of the instrument, and also, of course, it looks after 100 years, it doesn't look new at all anymore. But I also do think that it doesn't matter, actually.
Yeah.
I think it doesn't matter because, and I think also the instrument looked beautiful in this hall because it's a modern hall. It's a beautiful hall, and you have this gold in the background, and everything looks shiny and new. And this instrument is kind of like really showing itself and without any makeup, like it's there.
Yeah.
Being real and being old, and I mean old, showing its scars and showing the time it lived.
Exactly, but that you're saying that now is because when I got into the hall, it immediately got my attention because well, I always, when I go there, there's a black piano,
Yeah.
and suddenly, and I was wondering about that, and so and everything, it made the whole concert, it gave something magic to the concert, I think.
Yeah, thank you again. I mean, like, yeah, for me, it was really a very, very big experience, and I'm very grateful to have been able to show an instrument on which I worked in this hall. Yes, it was the end of the restoration, and for me, was really the best way to end restoration. And yeah, my work was honored in the best possible way, I think, and I'm very grateful for this, I must say. Yeah.
But how easy is it for you to get these pianos, or where did you get that specific piano?
So it's also a longer story, but it's like I was looking for pianos myself to buy pianos in Austria, and in Austria you have so many old instruments because Vienna was the capital of piano building in the 19th century. It was there was also Paris and London, but the real center during the whole century was Vienna, and so Vienna produced so many instruments. There were over 100 piano builders in Vienna at some time, and there's so many instruments which are kind of being forgotten also, and which people sell very cheaply because they need space, or the instrument is broken and needs restoration, or is not so valuable, and so they get rid of the instruments. And so I was looking for instruments, and I found a very beautiful one, which looked from outside in a very good condition, but seemed not to be very playable. So I went to this guy he's living in Graz, and I looked at the piano. I was very interested. I was also debating on buying it because I didn't have really money. I wanted it. It's like kind of when people want just to have something. It's a bit silly, but like it's like you want it just because you want to have it.
I understand that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like but I didn't really have the money also, and I was looking at the instrument from all the directions, and I was very interested into the instrument itself, and the owner was really surprised that I was so interested, because normally people would just like come and ask for a cheaper price, for a lower price, and then go again. And was very attached to this instrument. It was he was in this concert also, by the way, and he still has his WhatsApp profile picture is this instrument.
Really?
And so he was very attached to it, and it was the center of his living room and everything. And I think he felt very good about me being very interested into this instrument. And then we talked, and I said what I'm doing, and he said what he's doing. He's a singing professor in Graz. And so he thought, because he wanted to get rid of this instrument because it had too many small problems, and it was a bit too small for him. It was only 2 meters long, which for this it's for 1850 is quite small. And so he was already or he already bought, I think, another instrument, which was this instrument which you heard in the concert hall, but was still looking for somebody to restore it. And then he asked me if I could have a look, and and I did have a look. Then we had a look together at the instrument. I must say, like, it was really also for me a lot of new things which I didn't know, because it's a very specific instrument with a very specific action. And for this time, it's not a Viennese action; it's already an English action, but quite complicated and very, very well done. Like, but so complicatedly well done. And I was like, oh my God, it's so challenging, but I want to do it because I want to grow and I want to learn, and probably I was way too cheap in the offer for the restoration. But because I just didn't know also, and but it was okay. I learned a lot, so that's fine with me. And so I think he was very confident that I should do it, and I'm very thankful for this also, that he gave me so much trust, like that I will just do it. and so I did it, and we decided to do it together. And I think, yeah, well, there were some ups and downs, but I think mainly it was a big success for both of us.
Well, like you say, the trust that he put in you to do it, because it's you know, you have to, with such an instrument, have somebody to know what they're doing. And not that I say you didn't, but like you say, you admitted that there were some things that you haven't done before.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think also in restoration of those instruments, you need to also, I mean, I was quite a newbie still, I would say, in this domain, and I'm still, I still am. There's still so many things I don't know. But also, I think it's quite healthy to not to be aware that you don't know everything, especially with those instruments, because they really demand always a different approach. Really, I think with modern pianos you need to actually find a method which is very precise and which always works. because the mechanic is so adjustable in all different little screws, and you can for every different movement, or you have a different screw to do it. So everything needs to be very precise. But with those instruments, you have you, there are things which you don't know that they will happen. Problems come to you that you didn't know of and that you have never seen before, and you need to be able to adapt, as I would say, and to find new solution to new problems all the time. Yeah.
But now you have to probably build also most of the parts, because there's not something you can just replace with a new part.
Yeah, absolutely not at all.
Really?
We can't replace, besides of the strings. No, even the strings you need to make them yourself again. But there are things which needs to replace, but you can't buy them in a shop. You can't buy anything because it's so the company doesn't exist, and even if the company would exist, they don't produce those parts anymore. And it's like wooden parts. You can imagine they're this big, but they're made of like there's a saw cut here, and it's like less than a millimeter saw cut, and there's another one here, and then there's a leather part here, and then there's felt here, and so many different materials also used, and so much time used into producing small parts. I can't even imagine how expensive it was at this time, or how cheap they paid their workers, because it's just like infinite amount of precision and time invested in this instrument, and nobody will reproduce this. I mean, in a bigger scale. Yeah.
But I think it's wonderful also that amount of work and almost love for the instrument goes into this restoration, and that will in effect also the person who has this piano, understand or appreciate the instrument so much more.
I hope so. Yeah. I'm sure actually that he appreciates it very much, and he's also a lover in materials and in furniture, and I think he does appreciate it. Yes.
Now, what is the dream for you, Alexander? How would you like to see your work and your business grow?
Good question. Oh my God. It's really it's a question which is always there for me somehow, and especially now also would say. But I mean, first I would always love to have work, so I think I would be very happy if I know that there's always work for me, because it's like very big projects also, and like expensive projects, and sometimes there will be times where there are no restoration projects, and it's a big financial pressure. Just like I can compare it like in a way much bigger scale. You have, for example, organ builders. They build organs for years, and it's like they cost millions of euros or dollars, but then there will come times when there's no project, and it's a catastrophe. And I think my dream is like that there will always be interest in my work, and that I always will have work. And also my dream would be that the work I'm doing is interesting, that the instruments are interesting, so but I think also you can make every instrument and every work interesting. It's just with modern pianos, it's not so much my domain. So I love doing them also, but they're not my. It's not where my love goes. So I would say also the quality of the project, and if I can say three things.
Yeah, please.
If I can say three things, I would say also my dream is also to be able to live well from it. So to just to earn not a lot but enough to be able to just live well, I would say. Yeah. I mean, it's a question we all have, I think, and we all dream of.
But even I think if you love what you're doing and you get the sort of the response also from people who enjoy playing these instruments, then, because I think it's so wonderful that you did have that concert where we could see or experience what you're doing, or how important an instrument like that is for that music, so more people can see it or experience it.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, it was really for me a very great experience. I mean, it was kind of my first experience, and therefore was really a very good one, because it was in a Musikverein, and Musikverein is like the biggest concert hall in Vienna, and the most important one. And it was just a very big compliment for me somehow, or how do you say? I know the word in German, but
say the German word.
Bestätigung is.
Oh yeah, sort of. No, I don't know. I understand what you mean. It's like confirmation,
Yes,
it's like, yes, confirmation.
A very big confirmation, and I really loved also meeting you there again, and you being interested to have an interview with me is like for me also a big confirmation and compliment, and thank you for it also.
And also
other people just looking at the instrument and asking questions, and it sounds ridiculous, but it really made me very happy in this moment, and it made me feel that maybe it is a right and good path for me also. Yeah.
Well, I will add to your wish, because I would wish that we see more of that. See more instruments, older instruments, and hear that as well, because it definitely had a very, very unique sound and beautiful sound. And I think that would be great if we could experience that more.
Thank you. I agree.
Yeah. So the wishes are out.
Yes, they're out somewhere there.
Yeah.
Let's see what.
Many people who made wishes on my channel, their wishes came true. So I'm sure it's going to happen.
Thank you. Thank you for your help.
No, it's a great pleasure. But Alexander, this was so great to talk to you.
Yes, it was a very nice interview. I think you do a great job as an interviewer. I felt very
thank you so much.
and even inspired of our conversation. Yes.
I'm very happy about that.